Let me ask you something. What if I told you that there are a handful of crops you can plant once, and they can keep feeding you, your family, and even your future for years, sometimes decades, without starting over every spring? Because most people walk into the growing season thinking small. They think in months. Plant, harvest, done. But the people who truly understand the soil think in years. They think in systems. They think in legacy. And that is where everything begins to change. Because the moment you shift from planting for a season to planting for years, the ground beneath your feet stops being just dirt and starts becoming an asset, a living system that produces again and again and again. Now think about this carefully. Every spring, millions of people across North America spend money on seeds, plants, soil, fertilizer, only to repeat the same process again next year. Same effort, same cost, same cycle. But what if part of your garden did not need to restart? What if part of your land could wake up each spring already growing, already producing, already working for you? That is a completely different level of thinking, and that is exactly what we are stepping into today. Because there are certain crops, powerful, often overlooked, that do not just grow food, they build food systems. They produce harvests year after year. They strengthen your soil. They reduce your workload. And most importantly, they create a kind of quiet, steady wealth that most people never experience. Now, before we go deeper, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from right now? And are you planning to grow food this season? Drop it in the comments. Because whether you are in Canada, the northern US, or further south, the timing of what we are about to talk about can change how you approach this entire season. Now, here is something most people never think about. If you planted just a few long-producing crops this year, even in a small space, what would your garden look like in 2 years? In 3 years? In 5 years? Would you still be starting from zero, or would your garden already be producing before you even lift a shovel? Starting over every year be building something that grows stronger each season? Let me know in the comments. Because that one mindset shift is the difference between gardening and building abundance. And today, I am going to walk you through 7 powerful crops that can do exactly that. Not just feed you once, but keep feeding you, quietly, consistently, year after year. And as we go through each one, I want you to start seeing something deeper, not just plants, but pieces of a system that can support your health, reduce your expenses, and slowly turn your soil into something incredibly valuable. Because when you understand this, you will never look at spring planting the same way again. And the first crop I want to place in your hands is one of the most misunderstood, yet one of the most powerful long-term producers you can grow: rhubarb. Now, at first glance, rhubarb does not look like wealth. It is not flashy. It does not fill baskets overnight. But once it is established in healthy soil, it becomes something incredibly valuable. A plant that wakes up every spring and produces 4 years with very little effort. That means once you plant it correctly, you are no longer starting from zero each season. You are continuing. And that one idea alone begins to change everything. Because rhubarb is one of those crops that reward patience. The first year, it builds. The second year, it strengthens. And by the third year, it begins producing consistently. Now think about that. One decision, one planting, can produce harvests for 10, 15, even 20 years, when properly cared for. That is not gardening. That is long-term food security. And here is where it gets even more interesting. Rhubarb is one of the earliest crops to emerge in spring. While most gardens are still waking up, rhubarb is already growing, already producing stalks, already giving you something fresh from the soil when you need it most. That early harvest has real value because it breaks the gap between winter and full summer production, brings life back into your meals. And when grown in rich soil, those thick red stalks are not just food. They are proof that your system is working. Now let me ask you something. If you had a plant that comes back every year without replanting, how would that change your garden? It would not matter. B. It would save time and effort. C. It would begin to build real stability. Drop your answer in the comments. Because this is where many people begin to realize the goal is not just growing more, the goal is growing smarter. Now here is something important to understand about rhubarb. It thrives in cold climates, which makes it especially valuable for people in Canada and the northern United States. It actually needs that cold winter period to reset and come back strong. So instead of fighting your climate, you begin working with it. And when you plant crops that are designed for your environment, they perform better, they produce more, they require less effort. That is wisdom in the soil. Now imagine this. You plant rhubarb this year. Next spring, it comes back stronger. The year after that, it produces even more. And every season after that, it continues to give. That is not just a plant, that is a return on a decision. And when you begin stacking decisions like that across your garden, everything starts to shift. Because now you are not just planting for today, you are planting for years ahead. And this is where the second crop begins to build on that idea in a completely different way. And the second crop builds on that idea, but takes it even further. Because this one does not just come back, it multiplies. Asparagus. Now this is where things begin to feel almost unbelievable for people who have only grown annual crops. Because asparagus is not planted for one season, it is planted for a decade, sometimes even longer. But here is the part most people do not understand. Once asparagus is established properly, it can produce fresh harvests every spring for 15 to 20 years. Think about that carefully. One decision, and you can harvest again and again for nearly 2 decades. That is not just food. That is long-term provision. And the reason it works comes down to how the plant grows. Asparagus develops a deep, powerful root system called a crown. And each year, that crown becomes stronger, larger, more established in the soil, which means each year, the harvest improves. More spears, thicker spears, stronger growth. That is what healthy soil does when paired with the right crop. It compounds. And that is the word I want you to hold on to here, compounding. Because most people think about gardening as effort, in equals result out. But when you plant crops like asparagus, effort, in once, result out for years, that is a completely different equation. Now here is something even more powerful. Asparagus is one of the earliest vegetables you can harvest in spring. Right when your body is coming out of winter. Right when fresh food is limited. Right when most gardens are still waiting. Asparagus is already producing. And that early harvest matters. Because it brings nutrients back into your system. When your body needs it most. It supports digestion. It delivers vitamins. And it becomes one of the first signs that your land is producing again. That is more than food. That is reassurance. Now let me ask you something. If you could plant something once and harvest from it every spring for 15 years, would you? No. I prefer replanting every year. B. Yes, that sounds efficient. C. Absolutely. That changes everything. Drop your answer in the comments. Because this is where people begin to realize time is part of the system. And when you plant for the long term, time starts working in your favor. Now let us go a little deeper. Because asparagus is not just about harvesting, it is about positioning. You do not plant asparagus in the middle of your garden where you will disturb it every year. You give it a permanent place, a space where it can establish, grow, and return without interruption. And that teaches something very important. Not all parts of your garden should be treated the same. Some areas are for short-term crops. Some areas are for long-term producers. And when you divide your garden like that, you begin building layers of production. Short-term, mid-term, long-term. That's how a small piece of land starts producing like something much larger. Now imagine this. Year 1. You plant asparagus. Year 2. It begins to establish. Year 3. You take your first small harvest. Year 4 and beyond. It begins producing reliably. And every year after that, it returns stronger. That is patience turning into provision. And when you combine asparagus with something like rhubarb, now you have 2 crops, coming back every spring, producing before most of your garden even gets started. That is how systems begin. Piece by piece, layer by layer, until one day, you walk outside, and your garden is already working for you. And what we are about to move into next is a crop that does not just return, it spreads. And this next crop is where things begin to feel almost like nature is working with you, instead of you doing all the work. Because this one does not just come back, it spreads. Berry bushes. Now this is where many people start to see the real beauty of long-term planting. Because when you plant something like raspberries, blackberries, or even certain types of blueberries, you are not just planting a crop, You are planting a system that expands over time. Raspberries, for example, send out underground runners. New shoots rise up from the soil. What started as one plant becomes many, year after year, quietly, naturally. And suddenly that small planting you made turns into a row, then a patch, then something that produces far more than you expected. That is multiplication built into the plant itself. And this is where the mindset shifts again, because now you are not just growing food, you are growing expansion. Now think about what that means for a family. A handful of berry bushes can produce bowls of fruit that can be eaten fresh, frozen, turned into preserves, used in meals, shared, even sold. That is versatility, and that is value, because berries are not just sweet, they are powerful for health, rich in antioxidants, supporting the body in ways many processed foods never will. That is why I say again, good health is wealth. And when your garden produces food that supports your body like that, you are building something far deeper than a harvest. You are building strength. Now let me ask you something. If you planted one berry bush, and it slowly turned into 10 over time, how would that change your thinking? It would not matter. B. It would be helpful. C. It would completely change how I see planting. Drop your answer in the comments, because this is where abundance begins to feel real. Now here is something important to understand. Berry bushes do require care. They need pruning. They need space. They need sunlight. But once established, they become incredibly productive. And just like asparagus, they reward patience. The first year may be small. The second year improves. By the third year, you begin seeing real production. And after that, the system continues to build. Now imagine stacking this into your garden. Rhubarb returning early, asparagus producing every spring, berry bushes expanding over time. Do you see what is happening? Your garden is no longer resetting each year. It is building, layer by layer, year by year. And this is how small land begins to feel like something much greater. Because production is no longer starting from zero. It is continuing forward. And when something continues forward, it becomes reliable. And reliability is one of the most powerful forms of wealth a person can have. Now here is where things get even more interesting. Because the next crop we are going to look at does something different. It does not just return, it produces in cycles, again and again within the same season. And this next crop brings something different into the system, consistency within the same season, perennial herbs. Now this is where many people overlook something powerful because it does not look dramatic at first. But once you understand it, you begin to see how it completes the system. Herbs like chives, thyme, oregano, mint, and sage do not just grow once and disappear. They come back. And not only do they come back, they produce again and again throughout the season. You cut them, they grow back. You harvest again, they return. That is repeated production from the same plant. Now think about what that means. Instead of planting, waiting, harvesting once, you now have something that keeps giving within the same year. And when those herbs are growing in healthy soil, they become incredibly flavorful, strong, rich, alive. That changes your meals. Because now you are not just eating food, you are enhancing it. And when food tastes better, people eat better. And when people eat better, health improves. That is how small details in the garden begin to affect everyday life. Now let me ask you something. If you had plants that you could harvest from again and again without replanting, would you use them more often? Enough B maybe? C. Yes. All the time. Drop your answer in the comments. Because this is where the system becomes practical. Not just productive, but usable every day. Now look at what you have built so far. Rhubarb returns early, year after year. Asparagus produces for decades. Berry bushes expand and multiply. Herbs give continuous harvests. This is no longer a garden that resets. This is a system that continues. And now we come to the final piece, the one that ties everything together, fruit trees. Now this is where the vision expands. Because when you plant a fruit tree, you are planting for the future. Not just this season, not just next year, but years ahead. And yes, fruit trees take time. They require patience, care, planning. But once they begin producing, they can provide harvests for decades. Apples, pears, plums, cherries, each one becoming a source of food that returns every single year. And when those trees are planted into healthy soil, they become stronger with time. Just like everything else in this system. Now imagine this. You walk outside one spring morning. Rhubarb is already growing. Asparagus is ready to harvest. Berry bushes are forming fruit. Herbs are fresh and ready to cut. And your fruit trees are beginning to blossom. That is not just a garden. That is a living system of abundance, working together, supporting itself, feeding you. And here is where everything comes together. One person plants only for the moment. They work every year, start over every year, and get small results. Another person plants with understanding. They build systems. They choose crops that return. They improve their soil, and year after year, their garden becomes stronger, more productive, more reliable. And eventually, their land begins producing food before they even begin planting. That is the difference. Same soil, same season, different knowledge, different outcome. Because when you understand how to plant for the long term, you are no longer just gardening. You are building something. Something that feeds your family, supports your health, reduces your costs, and gives you a level of stability that many people are searching for today. So as you step into this season, remember this. Do not just plant for today. Plant for what your soil can become. Because the ground beneath your feet is not just dirt. It is potential. And when you combine that soil with the right crops, the right timing, and the right understanding, it has the power to produce abundance for years to come. Remember, wealthy foods lead to health, strength, and peace of mind. Thank you for watching, and do not forget to subscribe for more practical wisdom and simple methods to help you grow abundance right where you are. Until next time, keep growing.